All right. It's official. I'm doing Sunday Science with TJ because it's been requested. So, the video that I was requested to do, unfortunately, I don't have all the stuff for today because I kind of silly and left my charcoal outside and it got rained on. So, I can't do that one. But we're going to do the instant water bottle freeze video and we're going to try it. So, we're going to start with a whole bunch of ice. Voila. And a metal container, because in the video they used a metal container, and a bunch of Morton's ice cream salt. This is rock salt. Yes, it does taste like salt, but it is in big chunks here. See, big chunks of salt. Very salty. Okay, so I'm going to take this, make a big loud noise, and break it up. Okay, and we're going to dump a bunch in here into our metal bowl. Lots of ice. Alright. So we filled our bowl. Ice is going everywhere. Sunday Science with TJ is notoriously going to be messy, I'm afraid. Okay, so we filled that about half full. Alright, and then I'm going to take a bunch of this rock salt. And I'm just going to load it up in there. I'm going to dump a ton in there. I know it needs a ton because whenever we do, whenever we make ice cream, we do homemade ice cream sometimes. It needs a lot. I'm going to kind of mix it up in there a little bit. So, okay, and then I'm going to make a little hole right there in the middle, and I'm going to kind of lay the water. Now this is purified water, this is a sealed container. It is Ozarka brand, I believe. So we're going to try with this one. Some brands won't work for this, and I'll explain that later whenever I explain, please don't shake the table, thank you. I'll explain that later whenever it works or doesn't work. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to kind of lay this in here, and I'm going to lay it with the top up just a little bit, and then we're going to cover it with more ice, and we're going to layer a little bit. We're going to put more ice in there, we're going to put some more rock salt in there. What the rock salt does is it lowers the freezing point of the water. Now, obviously the ice is already in the water is already in ice form, but it'll help it to actually get colder as bits of it evaporate, which is why you can make ice cream with it. Okay, now I don't want too much more ice in there, because otherwise we'll have a big huge mess. So, there it is. In fact, let me bring the camera over so you can kind of see what we're looking at here. See? Bowl full of ice with the purified water in there, and it's not super purified, so this may or may not work. I don't know. All right, so we're gonna wait. It says to wait for 5 minutes, so I'm gonna wait for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna come back. All right, we're back. Okay, so this has been sitting for a little bit over 5 minutes. What's cool is I'm gonna hold it up to the camera. You can actually see frost starting to form on the outside of the pan. That's because the pan is getting really, really cold, and of course down here in Texas, it's wonderfully humid, and that humidity in the air is actually getting sucked down. Well, it's not getting sucked down, but as it contacts the edge of the pan, where the pan is really, really cold, then it is freezing onto the pan. Okay, so after 5 minutes, we're supposed to take the water bottle out gently and then tap it on the table, and it should freeze immediately. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to get a couple of books to set right here so that I can tap it there where the camera will see it. Alright, we've got some big classics here. We've got Wild Buggy Jordan, whatever that is, and Blackbeard's Ghost. So you just never know what you're going to get in this house. We got some big classics. All right, so I'm going to set these kind of right here so that the camera will see. All right, now I'm going to very gently remove this bottle, and gentle being the key word here. Now, I have a suspicion that this is not going to work because the bottle doesn't feel particularly cold. But they said 5 minutes, so we're going to give it, we gave it our 5 minutes and a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to take this bottle, I'm going to set it right here, and then I'm going to tap it down. And nothing happens, okay? And I'll tell you why nothing happened this time. Before I do that, I'm going to set it right down in here. 5 minutes, is not enough time for this water to get super cold. And that's because we have this insulator of the plastic bottle. The plastic bottle doesn't transfer energy efficiently. In fact, it's an insulator, so it keeps that energy back. And so what we're going to do is we're going to leave it in here. In fact, I'm going to take this whole container and I'm going to go put it in the freezer, and we're going to leave it for probably 20 or 30 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and see what it looks like, and then I'll start the video back up and we'll try again. Okay, so it has been probably closer to an hour with getting the kids in the bed and trying to help the wife hang some pictures in the living room. I kind of got distracted. So, but I put this in the freezer for a little while. I took it out probably about 10 minutes ago, just because I didn't want it to freeze completely while it was in the freezer. So we still have lots of ice. I'm not going to pick that up and show it to you because I don't want to shake the bottle too much. I will pick the whole pan up gently. And you can see, since I took it out of the freezer, we've got a lot of ice. And you can't really see, you might be able to see if I get up close, but the ice is actually getting really thick on the outside. It's picking up a lot of that atmospheric moisture. Okay, so now we're going to try this again. Now I see a little bit of condensation on the inside of the bottle, so that tells me there has been a temperature change. I don't know how much of a temperature change has been on the interior of the bottle, but hopefully enough that we can get that cool instant freeze effect. So I'm going to gently pull the bottle out, preferably without shaking it too much. Okay, here it is. Now, in theory, it's pretty cold. I don't know if it feels cold enough to freeze, but we'll see. In theory, if I smack it down, it should freeze. Nope. Still squishy. Now what you're seeing is you're seeing some condensation on the outside of the bottle there, but I didn't get any kind of a freeze. And if I hold this, it's cold, but it's not going to be cold enough to freeze. Okay, so just so you guys know, this project will work. However, you need a couple of things. You need some super purified water. I've seen people do it with Fiji brand purified water, and that's just because they have one of the purest water sources, not sources, but they really purify it really well. And what they do is they'll stick it in the freezer overnight. I happen to know that with Ozarka, if I leave it in the freezer overnight, it will actually freeze solid. But if you get Fiji and you can put it in a freezer that is really mounted very stably and isn't going to vibrate at all, then you can put that in the freezer overnight. You can pull it out and you can tap it on the table, boom, like that, and it will go ahead and freeze completely. I may just leave this in here for a little while, let it freeze some more, and then maybe try again right before I go to bed. We'll see. If it works, I'll film it, and then if it works, then I'll tag it on or post in a second video. But the reason it works in those super purified water bottles is because the water won't actually freeze unless it has some other crystalline structure to form on, okay? So in that water that's super pure, you don't have any of the salts, any of the electrolytes that you generally have in these type of cheaper Ozarka or Mountain Stream or whatever they are, the Walmart brand type deals. They actually put some of those electrolytes and salts and stuff back in the water that they've purified in order to give it a certain flavor. So you see people who say, well, I like Aquafina, or I like Ozarka, or I like whatever other brand. Well, there's a reason for that, because those different companies put different kinds of chemicals back into the water to give them a unique flavor. And that's just part of branding and marketing. It's not dangerous, it's not bad for you. The stuff is probably in the water anyway. They just add it back in after they purify. So I'm going to put this back in here. And so when you tap one of those bottles that's super purified, what happens is it gives the water, it causes the molecules in the water to align slightly, and then they'll immediately crystallize and cause it to freeze. So that's why it works. It will work, and hopefully someday I'll actually get some frozen properly so that I can post another video where it works. But there it is. There's your Sunday Science with TJ. And hopefully I'll have time to do another one of these next weekend. You just never know.